Let's call it to order. Oh, here we go. Okay, got it. Let me get rid of that message. All right. Here we are. Hi, everybody. Happy June. Let's start with approval of the minutes from May 18th.
I have a couple.
You do, Joe?
Yeah.
I just want to make a note before that. I had a computer issue, so I understand that my font and my header was changed. It is now fixed on the website. I did not send out the one with the header change, but that has been corrected.
Okay. Yeah, we noticed it the other day when Tara and I were looking at budget stuff.
Oh,
So
okay.
thank you, Heather.
Right. Do you want me to tell you the two that I see? They're small.
Go ahead, Joe.
Under number 3 reports, the chairman's report, the second bullet point, I believe G7 is G dash the numeral 7. I don't think that they're spell out the 7.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay. And so it would be G-7. And then the other small error was under number 4, number 3, under other business updates, the second sentence, it says food and drinkers were sufficient for the price.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I spotted.
Should be drinks, I would assume.
Yes.
Well, you might have spotted drinkers. We never know.
That's right. That's
Looking
it.
for people to go see Top Gun with.
And one more. On the second page, number 8, under events, they're talking about the Maymaker Fair. It's the next to the last sentence. There were input from area restaurants, nothing difference in business traffic on East Day. I'm not sure what East Day is.
Oh, probably the.
Yep, that's a typo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it should
Well,
be that day of the event.
That's it.
I did also find a couple other small typos if it matters.
Well, we're discussing them, might as well.
Yeah, might as well, Dan.
In that same sentence, right before that, it says noting nothing differences, and I think it should say noting, correct?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, now it makes better
Yeah,
sense.
that was one that I saw.
And then a couple lines up from there, it says that pulled pork and fixing was served.
So it should be fixings.
Yeah,
Right.
And I believe fixins is always spelled with an N apostrophe S.
yeah.
I mean, if we're going to be perfectly colloquial about it.
Yeah.
And then one more back on page 1, there's a spot where it says it should be Little League and it says Litter League.
No, it is litter.
No, I think that's litter.
Oh,
It is-
whoops.
yep.
All right.
Litter league is a real thing.
Okay, cool. Now I know.
Yeah, we had this
Everybody
one
keeps
last
trying to
week.
correct
last
that
week.
one.
Yeah.
All right. So do we have a motion to accept the minutes with the changes?
I'll make a motion.
Do we have a second?
Randall second.
Okay. All in favor?
Right.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, minutes are accepted. Thank you, guys. Reports. Joe, you got the budget report, right?
Yes. You want me to tell you? Go ahead.
Well, yeah, well, I can go since it's in order. Yeah, I forgot to print it out, so. As far as mine, yeah, I just reported, we have our business expo coming up next week. week and a half away. Band is Jim Perry and the Ed Sullivans. I hope for good weather, and I hope it turns out good. Another thing, we did have Senator Blumenthal visit 65 Main on May 31st for his photo op and take a look at the house and the community garden, which we did a real quick weeding while we were waiting for him, because it was not visually friendly.
Much better now, though.
It's much better now. EDC was still helping TBA promote Business of the Month using the town hall sign. This month we posted Stump Be Gone. And also in your email, I did send you what I recently received, the 2022 Thompson Boards, Commissions, Committees and Agencies schedule for the rest of the year. So that's it for now. Go ahead, Joe.
Okay, according to the budget report that I have, the available budget that we have left is $13,303.34. All I got.
Okay, yeah, and we'll talk. Oh, yeah. Under new business, I think we have the budget reconciliation. All right. Any questions on anything so far? All right, update on businesses. We only had one that was in the mailbox. It's Joshua Parent. I did email that to everybody. He describes his business as general labor, and he's located on Riverside Drive. One other thing for businesses, the TBA is when we meet on the second Wednesday of the month, we sometimes visit a local establishment such as Drafters or Milltown. And this past meeting, we went to the Pit Stop Pub, which we hadn't been to since it opened up under new ownership. 5 of us, we liked everything. The food was really good. We sat outside, we talked to the owner, told her about TBA and EDC, and about the event coming up on June 25th. So we'll see if we get any, involvement from the owner of Pit Stop Pub. Anybody have anything else? Updates on businesses?
Just on Pit Stop, Brian, since you were there, what kind of menu did they have? They don't have a website, and all we could find on, I think, Facebook was just like your very basic, oh, we have burgers type of thing.
Well, what we had, there were 5 of us. Dan had a scallop plate. Sandy had whole belly clams. I had a fish sandwich, and I should have taken a picture because the fish covered both halves of the bun. And it was really good. We have good fish and chips in town at Max and at Milltown. But yeah, there's not all that greasy stuff you have to peel off. I could have made 2 sandwiches out of it. The fries were good. Chris had a hamburger, which he liked, and Celeste had chicken fingers, which were shaped like little people. They had fries and onion rings.
Oh my
So
God, they
everything
were
was
soylent green.
They weren't round nuggets. They were actually shaped like people nuggets.
Oh.
But everybody liked their meal. They had a variety of beverages. A couple of us had beer, mixed drink, soft drinks. Can you think of anything else standing out on that menu, Dan?
You're muted, Dan. There you go.
You definitely covered it, Brian, but it was definitely good. I'll second that for sure.
And they had a specials page that they gave us, if
Okay.
I believe. We sat outside. Yeah, I mean, it hasn't changed much. hopefully they do some work on the facade and stuff to make it more inviting, but yeah, we recommend it.
Thank you.
Anything else business wise, new businesses?
I mean, I can tell you, we got another business in the TBA yesterday, DC cleanouts, and we're up to 50 now.
Good.
Hey. We may be contacted by Gary from Stump Be Gone because he was asking about street signs. So I told him to go to the website, he can check it out, get the current price, because I couldn't remember what we said at the top of my head. It's been a while since anybody asked.
I assume he was actually asking about the herb farm, though.
He didn't specify.
Yeah.
I assume it's the herb farm and not his Stumpy Gone, because that's mobile. But he didn't specify, he just asked for information on street sign, on the directional signs.
Speaking of street signs, I noticed that there's a Monte Bianco at the end of the exit 100 or 99 or whatever the Wilsonville exit is.
Yeah, the Wilson, I saw that.
And,
Yeah, I just want to climb those poles and take them down.
I was thinking of doing that, actually. If you see a Monte Bianco sign in my garage, you'll know where it came from.
We could sell it to him in Webster.
I don't know if it's business related, but I see there's activity on the warehouse building on the corner of Wilsonville.
Yeah?
Where the stone mill was. They've been pulling the steel off the front and I guess going to put a new exterior facade on the building.
Well, that's
They've
good
been-
to know, because they were really pretty hard paused there.
I don't know if anybody knows anything about the bakery, but
Oh, yeah, I heard something.
the garages were open and there were people working in there this week.
Oh,
That's
we were
interesting.
We were talking about that at the Blumenthal photo op, Renee. And
Yeah.
Charlie had heard that the place is still full of pallets of flour
yes,
and other stuff that could, bring in rats and stuff.
and it is.
But
It's loaded with stuff just like the day it was closed. The flour, so the mice. It's very bad. I was told.
what they had
Maybe-
outside was
Maybe they're cleaning it out.
cardboard boxes, like flat, like new cardboard boxes in pallets of them. So they were, I don't know
Oh.
what they were doing with them, but obviously they were taking them out of there.
Interesting. The last time
Facebook
I
made
spoke
me-
to, there is a gentleman who is representative of a company that has been trying to purchase that facility. It's probably been a month since I last connected with him, but what he told me at the time was that the owners of the bakery who bought out the parent company of Superior and then subsequently closed it, are eager to sell the building, but they essentially want to sell it to a non-competing new owner, meaning not another bakery, but the guy that I've spoken with a few times is in fact a representative of another commercial bakery. I wonder if they've moved beyond that, and that's why they're cleaning out there. That'd be good news.
It is going to be for sale, apparently. And the piece on the end of Wilsonville Road, that's under contract. If you knew about that piece, Tara, right by the highway, the exit.
I did not particularly know about it, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Okay, because I thought I had sent that to you.
Oh,
when I
wait.
started-
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. I
Right,
was
well, it's
confused.
a contract. It only lasted 44 days at $500,000.
What,
And
which,
what is it that got sold?
which property is this?
It's the corner lot on 395 in Wilsonville Road. It's
The one the
first-
town owned, or there hasn't been any for sale signs over there?
Well, yeah, it's approved. It says it's approved for gas stations with convenience.
Oh, that's the
Drive-
house.
So it's right by the highway.
Yeah, that's the house that got sold about 5 years ago.
Yep.
That was always approved for a gas station, and People have been
Yep.
living there for some time now, family.
Isn't that where we were gonna have a welcome center?
No,
Yeah.
that's the other side.
The other
Yes,
side?
and I forgot that Joanne had sent me that, that listing. And either she herself, meaning she, Joanne, or someone else had also inquired about that. And then that was the last I heard of it. So it's been sort of out of sight, out of mind, but interesting. So it's under contract, you said, Joanne?
Yeah, just, yeah, yep.
Hmm.
Anyway, we'll see what happens there. But it was a pricey, well, it's always been at that 500 price range. It was at that 3 years ago when it came to market.
Okay,
See what happens, see who buys it.
all right, well, moving on, we have no citizens to comment. So, let's see, we have no old business. The new business is the end of the year budget closeout, where we were talking about making sure our money, went to good use. Tara, do you have the notes? I'm drawing a blank on everything except for the fact that we're giving some for the
Yeah,
pickleball.
I can cover it. So we had a ton of our budget left through the whole year, and I kept thinking that it was based on stuff that we just hadn't done yet. But because we're closing in on the end of the fiscal year, Brian and I looked at the minutes from what had been voted on last year, and then we realized that what we did was we designated funds for things that we actually had other sources of funding for that showed up through the year. That's what, so that was how that shook out. So as you know, the Board of Finance opted to drastically slash the economic development budget for next year to $7,500. So none of this money is going back to the general fund. We're gonna put it to use. So we figured it would end up being just under 14,000, although the report we just saw was for 13. And we came up with 3 proposed uses for you guys to vote on. The biggest ticket one would be to designate most of it, really, 10 grand toward the renovation of the basketball court in Riverside Park and the upgrade of that court to include a new set of pickleball courts. I had written a grant application to AARP, hoping to get some grant funds on that, which was unsuccessful. Turns out that program is so popular, it got something like 3,000 applications. So I don't feel quite as bad about not getting it. But anyway, everybody seemed to really like the idea. Rec had voted already to put in 5 grand as matching funds toward that grant, and then we had leveraged 10 out of the ARPA. Amy seems still on board with keeping that 10,000 from the ARPA held out for this project. So that would bring us to about 20 grand of what we estimated soup to nuts to be about a $27,000 project, but that $27,000 included equipment, paddles. So we, if rec is going to be running leagues, they can offset that with registration fees and stuff. So that was the big one. And then the other 2 smaller uses were something that Charlie is hot and heavy for, which is to purchase a single bicycle repair station His original idea was to put it at the library, an idea which I actually like, but Allison doesn't really want it there because she's having vandalism problems. But there's places on the airline trail where it might make sense. Now, the Trails Committee did vote to go up to half of the cost of a unit. I was able to look up a unit, and it looks like the full cost of one, not including shipping, or maybe including shipping, was like $2,300. So, you know, if EDC wanted to split that with Trails, each organization would be in for, you know, call it, what did I say, 2,300? So $1,150. And then the remainder of that would be left over from that, whatever amount it ended up being. Members of the commission may remember that a few years ago, actually when I was still a commissioner and not an employee, we voted to fund part of that zoning regs rewrite to NECOG. Well, it turns out that those funds were never applied to that. And I keep getting billed for it. I have made 2 partial payments over the last 2 years by cobbling together some money out of my own office budget that got left over. What I think happened is when Mary Ann left, nobody remembered that both planning and zoning and EDC had voted to fund that project. So they never got paid. It was a $6,000 and some dollar bill. I've got it down to like 4,200, I think. And when Brian and I looked at it the other day, it looked like it might be up to 1,600 left, but I would just say whatever remainder it is. And then I've got about another 500 or 600 out of my office budget, and that'll knock quite a bit of that off. So that's what Brian Yacino and I worked out last week, and that's for you guys to discuss and decide. And, you know, it could be that there's something else that you'd rather use it for, but I will say, don't let any of those funds go back to the general fund, because they really slashed your ability to be proactive in the next fiscal year. And that's appalling. Discuss.
That last one was the one I forgot. I had written down the pickleball and the, see, I'm not even, I'm having trouble remembering everything. I have so many things going.
Well, the last
write
one,
down
Brian,
the
is just
card.
whatever the remainder is, right? So
no, I
the amount,
remember.
yeah.
I forgot to write that one down, and it wasn't reconciling what we had discussed, and the life of me couldn't figure out that last one. I remember, yeah, because the pickleball thing, that's we're going to write it to Superior Paving, and we got the okay if Superior doesn't use it all to put it towards something else having to do with the pickleball.
Correct.
Like we did when we reallocated the funds from Eddie to the school for the village sheds. Does anybody else have any other ideas? Or do you like what we came up with?
I don't have another idea. I just wanted to say, I thought when, Tara, when you were saying that stuff, there was 10,000 coming from ARPA, 10,000 coming from us, and 5,000 coming from the rec department.
Oh, yeah, you're right. So 25, not 27. I'm an idiot. Yes.
But yeah, so that means that almost that whole $27,000 budget is covered there. I mean, and is the question I had is that the paving company, they're going to do that whole project. They create the courts, or they just pave it? Does somebody else need to be
It's
involved?
actually 2 companies. The paving company, which is the one that Brian Levency and I met with, God, back in March, I think. Maybe even February, I think March. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Their estimate, which we do have in a nice tidy form, is for pulling out the stumps, which are the reason the court is such a mess,
Okay,
and then doing the asphalting, essentially. A different company does the sport coating, the seal coating, and it's apparently a specialty surface. We have a very informal email estimate from them. So since the money is sort of in little blocks and ours would have to be done as an encumbrance, I just suggested encumbering it to the paving company because we have a decent estimate in hand for that, and the others would need to be firmed up. But at least we've got a good idea of the costs involved.
So can I ask, because this is not normally past practice of, once you've encumbered it, paying another vendor, but I think I heard Brian say you got permission.
Yeah, we went
From
up
who? And do they know what they're
finance.
and do they know what they're talking about? Because that's really not something that's typically done.
From
That's all.
finance, directly from Bill,
Who's
because
not very familiar with the process.
Well, we also went to Amy.
yeah,
But
I
she
mean,
doesn't. I just think you need this, I mean, you just got to be sure about it. Bill's brand new. Amy doesn't know the finance side of the world, but of that, I don't know. It's just,
well,
I
if it
figured
turns
that-
out that we get locked into it with Superior Paving and it still moves the project forward, I think we're okay there.
Yeah, we had to do something before the end of the year and didn't have a solid. We had a rough idea on the rest of it. So we wanted to make sure it was encumbered somehow. And it's similar to what we did when we encumbered money to Eddie to do the sheds. And he didn't have the time to do it, so we re-encumbered.
Same project.
Same
but
project, yes.
Yeah. So that's the distinction there, is that as long as it's going to the same project,
well, in the
it's been
past,
generally decided that that's kosher.
I guess, because that's fairly new then, because that was not kosher for a very, very long time. That's all. And I just, if it's okay with the auditors, I guess it's okay.
I have a
Well-
question. Does it have to be encumbered to a specific contractor, or can it be encumbered to a specific project?
The practice has always been to encumber to a vendor, be it a contractor or a supplier or whatever. And that is what we would do, but that is also what we did to Dave Eddy for the sheds. And after, 2 years, essentially, the Mason house ate up all his oxygen. So I went in the middle of the year and said, I've got to do something about this. Can we reassign the PO to the school? And that was cleared at that time on that same rationale, that it is the same project. Because what would happen if a vendor went out of business entirely, right? I mean, so.
That money would go back to the general fund. That's what normally would happen. And to answer Charlie's question, there is a way to do that. And they do that on larger projects, Charlie, if they're going to save over time. They start what's called a transfer account. And the money goes into that account, like every year they'll put 10 grand in there until they're ready to do the project. But obviously this is not a project that's to that, scale.
Well, it's not a project to that scale, but if we could set the money aside to the project, and then when we have the contractor and we put up a purchase order.
You can't do that.
Well, I think that assuming that the commission agrees with the expense, you can figure out how to word the motion for now, and then I can go back up to Bill and say, all right, let's make sure that this actually works. And do we go in this direction, which is what we've already discussed with the encumbrance and the understanding that the vendor may change. And I don't think the vendor will change, by the way. I think the vendor will be Superior Paving. They're local. They've already given us the estimate, and it's a reasonable one. Or do we set up this separate line item account because the project is going to cross fiscal years? I think if, depending on how you word the motion, you're covered. And then I can just resolve the detail with the finance director.
Yeah, that's a little fuzzy, but can I ask what the recreation money is in a fund that they do not have to encumber? So there's no problem with their funds.
Correct.
So that is the paving is going to cost 10 grand. That's what we know.
That is the estimate that we have.
All right. So, I mean, I'm confused at why we're questioning that. You don't think it's going to cost that?
Well, there's always the possibility that it could come in under. I mean, there's the possibility it could come in over. So, so you do bring up a point though. We could encumber it to the rec commission.
No, oh, no, we're not a vendor.
Okay, all right. Well,
No.
that was just a thought.
No, but I think if you talk to Superior, or is it Colonial or Superior?
Superior.
I think it's a safe bet that that's going to cost 10 grand or $999.
I'm looking up the estimate right now.
$9,999.
Yeah, I thought the estimate was lower.
Hold on, I'm pulling it right now because I actually haven't looked at it. But we were using 10,000 in the grant. That's what yeah, $9,900.
Yeah, I think you're safe bet on that for sure. Yeah.
And as far as other incidentals, like equipment forward, Brian said that rec will cover that. Brian Levensey.
I just have another question about that too. Like how do we, is there like an engineer involved or something, somebody that tells the contractor what really needs to be done, or sets down somebody that knows what they're talking about, and so that we know that we're getting a good product for our money and it's not just.
Well, I would suggest that Superior or whoever we're using, if it's Superior, is a reputable paving company. I think they have the knowledge that it would take to lay a court out. I mean, it's their, are they going over that, Tira, or tearing that up? What's the scope of that?
Let me see what it says on the quote. It's just a one-page quote. I don't think there's a lot of detail. Excavate existing routes that are protruding through basketball court and haul away. Patch excavated root area in basketball court with asphalt and compact. Pave entire basketball court with 1.5-inch finish coat asphalt class 2 and compact. And then again, the secondary company would have to come in to do the specialty sport court.
That sounds about in line with their pricing. I had them quote my driveway, the steep part going down to the paddock and tearing it up and redoing it with the curbing, with the stone under it. They quoted like $6,500.
This is where we could use the expertise of our DPW director to kind of confirm, what they're doing is the right procedure. But I mean, Superior is pretty reputable, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't saying that they're not doing it right. I just don't know. I've heard plenty of horror stories, especially with asphalt. There's like a binder coat and a top coat, and I've heard of people, paving companies come in and they just put the top coat and they don't do the binder, and then it only lasts for a couple of years and we got to do it again.
Yeah, good point, Dan.
And that's true. And it's usually the fly-by-nights that come in with the beat-up truck and give you a low estimate. Superior's been around for a long time. It wouldn't be in their best interest to not do a good job, I wouldn't think.
It's not a bad idea to get a more detailed quote though. If we can. I'm not saying we're not going to go through them, but it would be nice to know exactly.
Well, I can follow up with them and ask them to provide more detail than is on the quote sheet on the process. I don't think that's unreasonable.
Right.
Right.
I mean, the issue at hand is how the commission wants to commit the funds one way or the other, since we're coming up on the end of the fiscal year.
Yeah, any more comments on how we rationed it out?
I think I like the idea of fixing up the basketball court, so that's seems good to me.
Would anybody like to make a motion?
I would make a motion that we encumber the funds, but I'm a little, do we encumber them specifically to that contractor? And then to the other point, can we get enough detail to be sure or more confident that what we're buying for the town is something that will last at least as long as the last quote did?
Yeah, Tara said she'll get more detail
I know.
on that quote, so.
So how about this? How about a motion that we encumber the funds as laid out by the chairman and on the premise that, you know, there's a more detailed quote forthcoming. Charlie, we have to encumber to a specific vendor, so back to that. So encumber the funds for exactly how you guys have laid out, and just expecting that we're going to get a detailed contract.
Yeah, remember, we're encumbering to Superior, we're encumbering to split the cost of a bike repair rack.
And I don't have
Yeah.
that vendor name. I apologize. I looked it up, but I forgot to remind myself, but I have it back at the
So to
office.
be encumbered to that vendor, and the remainder to pay off the NECOG bill, or get close to paying off the NECOG bill. So, and I
Do
don't
we have
like that hanging over our head either.
And what's the total dollar amount?
Well, we need to, I need to redo it because the budget sheet that was just sent over to Joanne must have had another couple of debits. So when Brian and I worked it out, it was 10,000 for the pickleball project, 2,000 for the up to 2,000 for the cost of the bike thing to split with trails. And at that time, it looked like it was going to be about 1,600 to go to NECOG. I think it ends up being a little less than that, but it would just be the remainder, whatever the remainder is.
Yeah, we had estimated we'd have about 14 left in the budget, and it ends up being 13,303. So we just said the remainder to go toward the NECOG bill, and which Tara's been paying down anyway.
So we need to clean up this motion.
Maybe when you get more details from Superior, we should ask them to include like an estimate of longevity and a warranty.
Sure.
Let me see if there's anything about a warranty in there, because I wasn't looking for it. There is not. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, I didn't get one with my driveway either. I don't know what they do about that.
I know. I think they'd be reluctant to do that.
Yeah, because the land is so unstable underneath, even if they do a good base.
Yeah.
See if there's anything about it on their website about warranties.
So we still need to clean this motion up.
Like what you said, Renee.
Well, I guess a motion to encumber the funds for these three projects or to these three vendors. But we don't have any amounts to deal with. That's what I'm struggling with.
Well, we
Well,
do.
sure.
We have 10,000 for Superior.
Yeah, 1150 for,
Which you may want to make $9,999.
Right, yes.
well, what did Bill say? Is it 10 and above or?
Yes,
remember we asked
it is
that?
10 and above, but the quote's for 9,900 anyway.
Yeah,
So let's do 9,900. Because you were short on your budget anyway. Right? You're short $700 less than you thought you had, right? So go
Something like that, yeah.
9,900, go 9,900 to Superior. And I can live with up to 2,000 for the bike repair. So you could word it that way, up to 2,000 on that. And the remainder to go towards the NECOG bill. Does that make sense?
I think Renee just made a motion.
I'll
I
second
did,
it.
sort of.
I'll second it. And for the record, the name of the company that makes the bike rack is called DERO, Dero, and the model is called Fix It.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, Charlie.
You're welcome.
I will.
All right, do we have a second? Do we have any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion carries. Thank you. Okay, on to progress reports. Yeah, incidentally, I will have 65 Main on the agenda as Kira suggested. The reason it wasn't on this time is because I mentioned it in my update about the senator visiting it. And I just didn't put it down below.
Okay.
So we'll do an ongoing on that. Okay, first up, anything new with grant applications?
Well, we already talked about the AARP and that we didn't get that, but this is our strategy to move forward. Before we totally move on, I just did a calculation. The Fix-It unit with the pump attached has a base price of $1,555, a surcharge, which apparently is an inflation surcharge of $388.75. A FedEx ground charge of $184.93. And then it shows tax, which we would obviously not. So the total with all those things without the tax taken out is $2,263.85. So back out $135. So call it $2,100 for the cost of the full cost of the Darrow Fix-It. So that would.
With one caveat, somebody reminded me that the pumps have a tendency to wear out more than anything else. And there are repair parts. So we suggest that we get one repair kit that we keep with the Trails Committee tools. And we can make a quick repair whenever it comes. I can't imagine that to be very much.
That doesn't look like something that would be coming out of Darrow, but I'll take a look at that tomorrow. I just wanted to toss out the unit cost while it was still fresh.
Okay.
But we are still leaving it as up to 2,000.
Yeah.
Because that's what the motion is in past.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yes, but I keep in mind though, we're going to split this between between EDC and Trails. So 2,000 is the total price.
Oh,
EDC share would be about half of that. So we do have a little bit of money for spare parts, but and we probably will use less than the amount we just put into the that we just approved. Does that
So
make
that
sense?
would basically turn $1,000 back to the general fund. Is that what you're
No,
anticipating?
No, it would change the remainder. It just changes the remainder that we put towards the NECOG bill.
Oh, okay, very good.
Yeah, that's why we left it with the up to number. It all gets covered.
Okay.
And yeah, Charlie, getting a kid is a good idea. We can look into that.
What about, Charlie, what about the installation?
That I don't know anything about. I've been trying to get more information. I saw somebody took some photographs along the airline trail, and there was another one of these to the west of us, and I still don't have all the details. But I am interested. It looked to me in that photograph on it was on Facebook on the airline trails, Friends of the Airline Trail Facebook page. And it looked to me like it was on a slab of granite, but what can you tell by a picture? I couldn't get the detail.
It looks like it's on a concrete pad, the one that that I saw, and that makes the most sense. I think realistically, we're ordering this at the end of the fiscal year, and it's going to be stored until we have an installation location and solution. But that's okay. We'll have the unit. It'll be one less thing to do.
Yeah, and our up to number would cover, especially splitting, it would cover the pad if that's what we do.
Yeah.
So we should be,
Okay, so back to where we were. What am I looking at here? So the AARP we already covered. DECD Community Challenges Grant. We also knew we didn't. I'm going to go through the unsuccessful ones first. Also knew we did not receive. That is all of that for now. In terms of pending applications, actually, in terms of awarded applications, we did receive 500 from TLGV to support Litter League. And Brian Levency and Amanda and I have talked a couple times this week. That's ramping up. We have a strategy. We have 2 different strategies to make sure that we can have a pilot program either this fall or next spring. So that would be within the grant performance period. And we're going to work hard to make sure that it's this fall, because I think that's the better time period and it'll be fresher in people's minds. So that was just awarded. We did not get the big grant award from CEDS, the Connecticut Education, whatever it is, for the summer camp grant, expansion grant. Neither Trail Camp got it, nor Thompson Adventure Camp, nor Coventry Summer Camp. None of us got it. However, TLGV did get an award from Centerville Bank, so they were able to drop the registration fees for Explore the Trails Camp, which is our partnership with Thompson Rec, Teague, TLGV, and Coventry Rec, to $120 a week. And they're going to be promoting that next Tuesday on Winnie, and there's press releases out. Please, if you know anybody with middle school age kids who have not made plans for their kids, lean on them to sign up for this program. It is a fantastic program on its own right, and it's ridiculously well subsidized with all this grant funding, and we really want it to succeed so that we can expand next year. So those are the 2 sort of rec tie-in grants that we have been notified about. Now on to 65 Main. As we know, there's 2 streams here, right? There's the construction renovation and there's the planning. So the congressional award that we were announced for, that Senator Blumenthal was up, to help promote last week or 2 weeks ago or whenever it was, that all flows towards construction. I had some pro forma paperwork to turn in that has been turned in, but I need to send them a revised budget because the budget that we used was the one that Brian Santos had generated for me out of his office using his estimating package. That was an uneditable PDF. So the full amount of the request was $24.95 or something, and they 2,400. Say it again. 244,095, but the award was for 240 even. So I did not have the ability to edit the budget to send as part of the pro forma, and so it didn't match up. So I've got to get Brian to give me an edited copy, but I connected with him by text today. He should have that to me by the end of the week. And then once I have a contract back from SBA, Small Business Association, they told me once everything was co-signed that it would be like 90 days until the funds were received by the town. It would be a lump sum award. It is not a drawdown. It is not a reimbursement grant. We'll get it all at once. So let's assume that we'll see that by the end of the year. And then I have asked for an 18-month performance period on that, based on talking with Santos and how long he thought it would take. So that leaves the programming. So, well, it also leaves the design, but we'll talk about that under the actual 65 main line item. Just last week or 2 weeks ago, the end of 2 weeks ago, a USDA grant program crossed my desk that I am now working on an application for. It is the Urban Agriculture and Innovative Projects Competitive Grant Program. It covers all kinds of things that are related to food systems and agriculture, and they have a planning stream. This grant is a unicorn. It has no match requirement. It has a $50,000 floor, a $300,000 cap. So some of the folks on this call, maybe just Yacino and Dan, got an email for me to start discussing the planning and programming aspect. So I've got a con call on Friday, essentially with the nonprofit partners who were always a part of it before, but were donating their time as the in-kind match, to discuss how we now turn that in-kind match into an actual funding request to get to the $50,000 floor. So that would be the running the public engagement process, the design of the permaculture park and the consultant to do that, and what is the time that those nonprofits, what is the value of that time to put into this planning project. So it opens us up to a whole lot. So I think Dan is going to be on that call, but because it was the people who were available are mostly the people who would be sort of involved in the upfront grant process. I think there'll be a second call later to talk about moving forward with the public engagement for the programming, regardless of the grant, because that's going to need to happen one way or the other. I know that was a lot of words and it's very complex, but it's like everything else. There's big, there's all kinds of balls in the air. The lot SIP grant, which is the sidewalk project, if the town hasn't already received the 1.8 million, they will receive it imminently. All the contracts have been signed and they made their first cuts into the pavement today. I saw on my way home as I was walking, which is very exciting. And trying to think if there was anything else. Oh, Santos just texted me, by the way, that he's still in that building committee meeting. So I don't know if we'll see him or not. I'll just let him know we're still talking. The other grants are all sort of on the horizon. I'm still very interested in this middle mile broadband grant possibility, which would have to be a public-private partnership with the developer who bought the 150 acres that includes North Grove Nordell Pond. but they've gone a little radio silent on me. I'm not too concerned because I think the first nut that he wanted to crack was the dam. So that's a big project too. But I'm going to have to circle back around to them too. I have until the end of September to write that grant, but I don't want it to, drib out until the last minute because it's something that I would need a lot of assistance from the private partner with. And then I feel like there was one more. Oh, the DECD Brownfield grant, we're still waiting on, we still haven't signed all the paperwork with the state because again, there's a lot of moving parts, agreements, prevailing wage requirements that need to be sorted. But again, as soon as that's all squared away and signed, the brownfield cleanup for 929 can start. And I still haven't seen my contract from the state on Trainwreck Park, but the state is apparently behind on all of their grant paperwork. So again, I'm not super concerned. I'm just anxious to get going. So that's my grant update.
You're right. It's a lot of balls in the air.
Yeah. I don't even know how to juggle.
Can I just ask one question about the 85 Main or the 65 Main Street?
Sure.
What if $240,000 isn't enough?
That is a pressing question that none of us can truly answer, Dan. When I submitted that request to Congress, there was certainly some inflation regarding building materials in whenever the hell it was that I submitted it, late fall, but it was not what it is now. The thing with that Reno project is it certainly can be phased. And it can be phased in such a way that the building can come online and be usable for the end function, even if we don't have the whole building.
Yeah.
So for example, if we can complete the foundation, the exterior, the interior basement, and the first floor, we have a usable facility.
Yeah, I agree.
Also, that original quote included 2 full kitchens because the original plan was to have an apartment on the second floor.
Okay.
And the Turtle Lot Trust hated that idea. I still personally think it was the best idea to monetize the property and make it sustainable, but whatever, I think I've lost that battle forever. So there's not going to be 2 kitchens. So
Okay.
there's places where I'm sure we can futz with it, and maybe some places where community labor can fill the gap, and we can be creative. But we don't need all 3 floors and basement completed in order to bring it online. So those are the accommodations that we will make when we are confronted with them.
Fair enough.
Okay. Any other questions regarding the grants or? Okay.
Sure.
Next, yeah.
One point, Kara, I sent you something at the end of last week about a private foundation that has monies that could possibly be used for this outdoor, the grant that you said we didn't get for the summer project. Just wanted to make sure that that got through. And
It doesn't sound familiar, Charlie. I don't remember seeing anything regarding a private foundation.
all right, I'll dig it out and send it forward again. It seemed like somebody with deep pockets that was looking for someplace to, programs to invest in.
Well, I like people with deep pockets.
So do I.
I don't know any offhand. Okay. Next up is the business marketing strategy, our survey.
Survey's done. I didn't get any feedback on the revision. I got plenty of feedback on the first bad one, so I subscribed to SurveyMonkey so that we can do unlimited surveys, but I haven't really had any.
I must have missed that because I don't remember even seeing it, the comment. I it may have been lost. I get 150 to 200 emails a day, so if I don't see it right away, it's gone. It gets buried.
Let me see if I can-
Did anybody else look at it or intend to go back to it?
I believe I saw the first copy of it and commented, but I don't remember seeing a second one.
That's what I was thinking too.
Well, let me find it and resend it. You guys can keep talking while I do that. Here we go. Revised and expanded survey using our fancy new subscriptions to Heather, Joanne, Yacino, Lafredo, Santos, Dan, Charlie, and Renee.
Yeah, I think I probably just had it buried. I don't think.
Well, I'm sending it again right now.
Okay.
What was the date on the one you just found?
The 23rd of May.
23rd of May.
That was like last year.
Yeah, no wonder I don't remember.
All right, well, yeah, everybody, when you get a chance, take a look at that comment back and I'll look for it.
I mean, it's really just a matter of as soon as everybody's happy with it, you know, we can post it and use it.
Yeah.
I didn't set a time limit on it. We haven't, you know, really discussed a rollout. But we can put it up at any time.
Okay. Yeah, next up is website notes. I don't have any. I haven't been on our site recently. It is, I do find it hard to maneuver and get information on Thompson Rec though. So when you get up there, the calendar, the first calendar you see is blank. And so you have to somehow get to my rec to find out anything. I find myself short on time and patience, so I just move on.
Are you talking about the recreation page on the town website or the actual recreation website?
Yeah, on the town website, because there's no real connection there. Yeah, to get anything, I have to specifically log into my rec, which is their page. Because the calendar for rec is still blank when you go to the recreation through the Thompson site. I know they dropped some things when both of them were out on maternity. But that was the last thing that I noticed that I just get ready to move on. Anybody notice anything else on the sites? No. Okay. Yeah, I'll sit out. I'll talk to Brian Levency about that one of these days when I have a minute. Now, next up is 11th Village Progress. I haven't noticed any. I haven't been down to Riverside, but.
So there's some. Last week, Teague sent some volunteers down to stain the original shed, the barn red. I think they actually ran out of stain. I need to get them one more. And they are going to get down there again at some point over the summer. I emailed Mike Joyce to say, hey, you know, is there anything else going to be done before the end of the school year? The end of the school year was yesterday, but he also said that he was planning on going out there to do some more. So I don't know what that means precisely. It may be that that's going to be on summer hiatus. Which is, you know, as long as we get the one done for Community Day, I think we can make it work. What I did not get, so I came in to work during my vacation to have a meeting with Melinda and Katie Butler, who is one of the staffers for the transitional student program, to discuss what they need to bring the student-run used bookstore online. And in that meeting, I said, you know, send me what you need so I can bring it to TBA. Well, last week was TBA and I didn't have that. I have not had a response back from Katie. I know they were busy with the end of the year. I will try to follow up with them again. I am sitting on $1,000 to put into an order of books for them. Everybody was super excited about this, including some members of TBA who have no, you know, solid outline to hang their hats on in terms of what their involvement could be. I can't really tell them anything. So I'm just going to have to keep leaning on Melinda over the summer, I guess, so we can get it done. I mean, they want it done because they need something for their transitional students to do. It's a part of the mandate for that program, and they haven't had anything adequate. This is a great solution for them. They've said it. We feel it. We have a good, very like 30,000-foot view shape of how it needs to work, but we need to work out the nitty-gritty details before September. I'll just have to stay on it. And that's all I can say. But it is, you know, we have a better stained building than we did last week.
Okay. And the next step is the NIPS program. You're getting ready to have another washing party.
Yes, who would like to come to my house this weekend for pizza, beer, and bleaching nips Saturday? Preferably 1 o'clock.
Yeah, I think
My birthday, so I'm sure that my kids will have other plans.
That's okay. I don't want you on your birthday. I would insist you not come on your birthday, in fact. So I saw Lafredo wave his hand. I think I saw Charlie wave his hand.
yeah, I have to double check. I've got a pretty busy week, but I think Saturday afternoon will be open.
Okay. I haven't gotten to Sarah yet, but I'm sure she'll be there.
Saturday at 1, you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pizza, beer, and disgusting plastic bottles.
I'm sorry, I can't make it on Saturday.
That's okay, Dan. I mean, 4 people actually can get a surprising amount done. 5 people with Sarah. I would recommend that folks bring their own gloves. I will get bleach. I will get kitchen-sized trash bags to put the clean ones in. And I will try to get scrapers, but might be not a bad idea if anybody has an extra paint scraper thing kicking around. Those are the most effective. Those little like 1.5 inch wide flat blades for paint scraping. Yeah, I like putty knives. That was what I found most effective to take those labels off.
Do you provide the water and the buckets?
The water, the buckets, the gross little plastic bottles, the bleach, the trash bags, the pizza, the beer. But I only have 1 scraper. And it's rusty, which means it's a tetanus risk. So I'll handle that one.
YOS. Bring your own scraper.
Try to bring your own scraper. I'll try to get some, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to Lowe's or anything.
You have enough to do. We can bring our own scrapers.
Okay. All right. Yeah. 1 o'clock until we run out of juice.
Okay. Next up, we have bicycling and other events.
I don't have any events coming up yet, but I have been getting some GPS maps that people have been riding their bikes, and they've got the apps on their phones and they're mapping it. The one criteria that I'm asking for is that it has to at least include part of the trek through Thompson. And I've gotten 3 so far. I'm hoping that we'll just be able to plug them in on the trails page. We're going to have to take a look at maybe a separate tab that says bike rides or something like that. But there is a lot of interest in what Thompson has to offer for bicycle riders, and people with those kinds of apps are happy to supply it. So, but I don't have any events on the calendar.
Okay. Yeah, and we just leave that as a standing item, Charlie. So
Mhm.
as you have something, you know where to fit it in.
Thanks.
Next up, we had UConn soliciting proposals for next year's senior class.
Yeah, we had a little meeting a couple weeks ago. Oh, I think Santos just texted me again. Hold on one second.
I haven't been able to make, I've been, to the wall and out of town and haven't, because I should have made that one too.
It's okay. It was a good meeting. Who was there? Lynn Landry. Was Karen there? I don't even remember who was there. There were like 4 or 5 of us who got together to hash some stuff out. Came up with a list of 6-ish, although some of them were variations on a theme. So I sent just the ideas, not even one sheets, over to the faculty advisors at UConn that I deal with. There's like 3 or 4 of them who are advisors, to the student teams. The strongest interest was in something having to do with an improved layout for the transfer station, possibly including a community composting center, or possibly a community composting center as a standalone project. Oh, Amy's coming in. The taking some aspect of a redevelopment concept plan for the 630 Riverside parcel had some interest. And Charlie, your fish ladder idea also had some interest, but that idea is literally just the word fish ladders. Nobody knows what the specific need is. I emailed Dan Mullins at ECCD to say, is there a demonstrated need for migratory fish ladders in Thompson? And he hasn't gotten back to me on that. I mean, I think the students are interested in it conceptually, but does it serve a genuine need here? So I have to, but Dan Mullins is going to be on that call with me on Friday. So I'll just see if he can take a minute after we wrap that one and talk about that.
Well,
anyways, go ahead.
When I sent that, I suggested that, yeah, it's an interesting concept and it's probably going to pick up a lot of more traction as we go along, but just to put one in Thompson, that doesn't make any sense in the big picture. Still, it's something that in the long run will be done, I think, because that article that I referenced there, the first time since just after the Revolutionary War, that they've gotten these fish back up to the headwaters in Maine. And that is the kind of thing that I believe the environmental protection agencies and the state departments will be looking at. Restoration is just so important.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the question is, what's the specific need locally if we're pitching it? Where, what's the mechanism? But I'm gonna talk to Dan Mullins and see, what his recommendations are. So anyway, Lynn Landry's on vacation until I think she'll be back early next week. So I want to pick her brain at more about what kinds of things the transfer station would be thinking about, so I can write up one sheets, and I'll just write up one sheets for at least those first 2. And then if we can come up with a good concept for the fish ladders, I'll just send them in. There's no charge to us to send them proposals. And they took away the fee to municipalities a couple of years ago. So even if they were to take all 3, there's no charge to municipalities, even if they produce something for us. The flip side is they're under no obligation to choose any of them. It's the kids sort of wander around their showroom and pick the models they like kind of thing. Which is why we didn't have a team this year. They didn't like our proposals, but I think they'll be good. I think we'll be working with kids on one or more projects in the next academic year.
Okay, let's see, last up, I just decided to list the upcoming events. We have the June Business Expo, which is also the kickoff of the concert series. We have the July Town Yard Sale. I think that's the 30th. The Centerville Bank is doing the turkey trot. I don't have a date on that. Of course, Community Day, the first Saturday in October.
November
which
13th.
I didn't write
Right.
down. Huh?
November 13th.
Okay. Yeah, it's just, there's so much going on. I thought it might be helpful to have just some kind of a list.
Sure. It's always good to have a list.
And then we can forget to look at it. But that's all we have on the agenda. Unless somebody else has, commission members have comments.
Amy came in too. I don't know if she had anything she wanted to.
Do you have something, Amy? Maybe not.
I'm on my phone. I just
okay.
got back from the building committee meeting, so I have to walk my dog. But no, I don't have anything to share at this time, but thanks. I'll just keep listening.
Okay.
Oh,
Anything?
Santos is coming in now. We may as well give him an opportunity to.
While
be
we're
part of
waiting
the
for
meeting.
While we're waiting for him to come in, I just wanted to try to make one thing clear. Everybody on this call knows that I get enthusiastic and I tend to like run with scissors. When I made the comment in front of 65 Main Street, I pointed to the bakery and I said, it's up to us to find a solution. Yes, we don't own it, but this is exactly the issue of absent landlords sticking us with problems like that when they ripped the mill down at the end of Blaine and Route 12 and left us the shaft. You know, there's just too much that's going on. We've been talking about how do we excite commercial developers to bring in the kind of energy that makes sense to us. Sure, if I had a magic checkbook, I could buy that and I could do anything I want. But
Well, Charlie,
there's a lot of reasons why nobody's going to go in there and re-energize that as a bakery.
but you did miss the beginning of the meeting, Charlie. Joanne had an update on that.
Okay, I'm sorry I missed that.
Oh, no, I'm just, Joanne, you still there?
Oh, yeah, that's there. I think that's going to go back on the market. They have to fix the building first, or it's being shown to somebody. That's all I know. I kind of heard, it was kind of half heard, but I'm not sure if it's not actively on the market, but it might be. So they're getting it ready.
Well,
Yeah, the caveat was that nobody else can have a bakery there.
Well, that was the stumbling block for the sale that's been under negotiation. I
Right.
haven't had an update in over a month on that from that person, but he was still thinking that they were going to work through it, which makes me wonder if what Joanne saw was a phase in that sale. I don't know, but what Joanne is suggesting is she thinks it's going to be listed again. So I don't know. I mean, there's certainly other things that could be done there.
Oh, yeah, but at least, Charlie, there is some action. We don't know what's going to happen, but there's some action.
no, I don't. None of us knows what's going to happen. I do know that the worst thing that could have happened was to allow occupancy to drop because of something called the grandfather clause. A lot of the programs that are in that building, a lot of the equipment that's in that building, from the flour silos inward, will really not meet current food safety standards or OSHA standards. Just so that you put that in the back of your mind, it's not ever going to be another bakery like what was there. So hopefully somebody will come in, either look at the square footage and say, hey, we can do something here, or they're going to say, hey, look at this acreage. But too many people, and especially since I moved here, too many people have their vision focused on the past, hoping to be able to get back to the glory days, and it don't happen.
Bring back arrow shirts, Charlie.
I actually sat in on an all-day webinar today, which was on almost exactly that topic. It was from the Center for Community Progress, which does a lot of advising on brownfields and stuff. And it was a whole day with different speakers on what they call VAD properties, vacant, abandoned, and delinquent properties, and strategies to deal with them. Just some really great stuff. And they've got a lot of good publications. Of course, the Eastern Connecticut Land Bank is one of the organizations that was formed regionally to deal with just that issue, right? So it was sort of nice to hear people working on those problems nationally, and to know that we're not off our nut when we pursue something like that. Welcome to the party, Brian Santos.
Thanks for having me. I'm so sorry I'm late to this.
It's all right.
Well, you
We're
get
up to,
9 minutes to say whatever you want.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, the building committee just had a lot of things to vote on tonight with other various projects, so I apologize for that.
Yeah, we're up to comments by commission members. So if you have anything to comment.
Okay, yeah, no, I read the updated Survey Monkey. It looks great. So is this going out? Was it voted to go out after Memorial Day? Is that what we're doing?
Well,
we-
that would have been the beginning of this month, and I
Oh,
didn't
so
have
sorry. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
I didn't have any input after I did the revision, so it's been sitting there.
So she resent it so that we can, some people don't think they got it, and I think mine got buried. I think I did get it. So we're going to check our email and comment.
Okay. Okay. Do we have a list of people that we sent it to?
Right now, it's just in the review phase, so it's just you
Oh.
guys.
Oh, okay.
So once everybody's happy, and I suspect you will all like the revision better, it's the usual avenues. Town website on the news page, which I can't do because I'm not an admin on that page, but that the social media, blah, blah. Now, is it worth trying to do some other things like try to schedule a Winnie? I can always reach out to Gary and see if he's got any available space. Certainly send it via email to the Thompson Business Association and their members. Dan, I would like that to be on the TBA pages as well. I mean, it's directly related to that mission.
Absolutely, TBA for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and then Renee, do we have a way to pull? Well, we wouldn't have emails. I mean, we can probably go back and pull home awk applications and pull emails off those, but that's a very specific slice of the local business community.
Whatever's available to us, let's just try to take advantage of that. If it's just TBA, it's TBA. I definitely want to send it to make sure that Dan at Milltown gets it. Anya people, Han at Riverside, there's a couple key people, because I feel like after this, I'd like to try to get some of these people in and really talk specifics with them, right? And see what we can do.
Okay.
Right. Because it's kind of like the Charlie's point with the bakery. It's like, okay, maybe word of mouth with people that we speak with gets to a certain individual that's interested in, taking over whatever building or business in town, right? It's generally word of mouth, right? So that's kind of what the point of this is.
Any more comments? Anything Anything for next agenda, and if something comes up in the meantime, let me know. Next meeting is July 20th. If nobody has anything else, I'm ready to adjourn at 7:55.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you, guys.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
All right.